Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back. Man, I'm having a rough morning with it, Chris America. Can you hear me? You there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
That's
all right.
We're allowed to have
Man.
rough mornings.
Oh, man. Yeah, the for whatever reason, the USB plug was unplugged on the laptop. That happens.
Oh, that happens to me.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those mornings. And for all of our listeners, I didn't even do the full intro. We're 3 minutes late. I'm all got
We're
it all
only gonna be
hot
on for
mic
30
and
minutes.
screwed it up. Yeah, we're rolling a 30-minute show. Man, this thing's falling apart over here, but that's okay. We're gonna have a good Tuesday morning. We got past the Mondays, and we're back to the Tuesdays. So how are you doing today, Chris America? You're probably having a better morning than I am.
Nah, not too bad. A little struggle getting out of bed, but, that happens from time to time, too.
Yeah. I definitely know what that's all about. You know how you start getting that tickle in the back of your throat? Monday morning when I woke up, I'm like, it's starting to get that tickle, and that cold is like, I can feel it like starting to hit me real
Starting
good
to come.
last night. Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night and my throat was like super sore and congested, and yeah, it's coming. It's coming. That's just how it works out sometimes.
Yeah, it's before even the weather changes, which sucks. Which means you're probably going to get another one once the weather changes in a month or two.
Thanks for reminding me that I'm gonna get sick again. I feel like I got
For some
mono over
reason,
here.
I know that scientifically speaking and medically speaking, you don't get a cold from just it being cold. But for whatever reason, when we have that huge temperature drop where it'll be like 95 one day and the next day it's like a high of 68, which I know people say like, oh, that's not cold, but that's almost a 30-degree temperature change in like the drop of a hat. And for whatever reason, that drop of temperature or that just huge change in temperature messes me up. Just gets my body all out of whack.
Yep. Whatever these scientists are that say that it's not the weather that causes it, they're liars, man. I'm telling you, I got street science that I work with, and my street science tells me that you're right. When it drops 30 degrees, that's when you get sick, and that's a big swing in temperature. And yeah, maybe that's what's happening to me.
But we didn't have that yet.
I know, but I'm gonna blame it on that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's still 100 degrees outside every day.
You know whose fault it is? Hurricanes.
It is their fault. Coming
I
in,
always
dropping
blame
the
it on them.
barometric pressure and everything. That's the
I was
thing,
talking
right?
about the Miami
Barometric pressure.
Hurricanes, man, because they suck so bad.
Oh, they do suck.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
like-
and the barometric pressure. Yeah, that too.
The state of Florida football is not a very good one outside of UCF and Florida right now.
Yeah, you're kind of right there.
I mean, across the board with college and NFL, it's tough being. Maybe that's why Florida man is so crazy because all of his teams are terrible.
Yeah. Now the
Miami's
Gators
bad.
are 3-0. Okay, you gotta at least give your own team credit there. It's
Right.
just.
Well, that's what I said. I said UCF and Florida are the only
Oh.
two teams that are like.
Oh, I
that
thought you
have
said
something good
UCF
going
in
on.
Florida. Not
Oh,
and
no.
Florida. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
so
right, though.
Jacksonville Jaguars are bad. Both Miami football, like all Miami football teams are bad. Whether you wanted to go FIU, Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes. I guess FAU's not. Is FAU down there? It's around there. It's around that area. FAU is. So we'll
Yeah.
throw that in there too.
General
To
vicinity.
me, like once you pass like I don't know Titusville, Cocoa Beach, it's all South. It's all the same down there for me.
This is all true. The other thing about all this is, I guess being part of this UCF Twitter mafia, I see different comments and stuff on Twitter. Well, I saw a football guy. He put a poll out there. It said, what's the best team in Florida? And it was the college teams, and it was Miami, FSU, UCF in Florida. And UCF had like 75, 80% of the vote. No, it might have been a little bit less. Maybe it was like 65, 70% of the vote. Florida had like 20, 25% of the vote. And then Miami and FSU had like 1% and 3%. And I read the top comments, and I get sucked into this vortex known as Twitter. And half the people commenting are Alabama fans. And, of course, they're throwing shade on every team in the state of Florida. And then the other half, it's like, well, why is UCF in this poll? And I'm sitting there thinking, if you are dumb enough to say, why is UCF in this poll, when they're on a 3-season regular season winning streak, like haven't lost in the regular season, and then this is their 3rd season doing it. I mean, just at least say, okay, they deserve to be on the poll. Like, don't say, oh, like they don't even deserve to be on the poll. And who's the idiot that voted for Florida State? That's what I want to know. That 1%er.
Florida State idiots.
Yeah, I mean,
It
seriously.
was probably the man with the golden mic. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it probably was. He's like, oh, they're back. Just give Willie T 4 years.
Four
Just give Willie T 4 years.
4 more years.
Willie
You know what
T
I
only
wanna
needs
do?
4 years.
I was re-listening to the show yesterday. I'm going to create bingo cards for you and me, and maybe we'll send some out to some of our listeners who want them. And we'll just play bingo every time Anthony Mack is on. It'll just be a card full of things that Anthony says every time he's on the show. One of them will be 4 more years. Just give him 4 more years.
Willie just needs 4 years. He just needs 4 years. Now, he might be listening this morning. He did tweet at me about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you read the tweet, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but he says, at Loudbeard, a lot of bad QB play in the NFL continues Monday night. Kaepernick should be a topic. Just saying.
Don't worry. Colin Kaepernick will be on the bingo card.
Oh, yeah. That's Serena Williams, Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, we got them all in there. That's the man with the golden mic bingo card for you.
You don't want to take the pictures. You set it all up.
Oop. Sorry about that, Loudbeard.
I feel like you might have a sound clip for us.
I do have a sound clip for us.
Wow, how did I
I'm
guess?
such a good producer. So LeVar and Lonzo Ball got into it on their show, Ball is Life. It's hard to tell what's real and what's not real when you're watching reality TV shows. Ooh, excuse me. But watching Lonzo's body language and the way that he talks to his dad and everything, I think this is a legitimate argument that him and his dad had. Now, I was sitting here going through some of the tweets and the analysis. You know, we got to break down what they said. And I'm going to play it, Loudbeard, before I get to the tweets. So that way you can kind of come in with a fresh perspective and you can just interpret it the way that you feel. Did you see this story yet or no?
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of it. I didn't get
Okay.
a real in-depth analysis of it, so I'm anxiously anticipating this.
Would you change the name?
Hell no, I wouldn't change the name.
I'm just saying from a marketing standpoint.
From a marketing
So they're talking about, would you change the name Big Baller Brand?
Okay.
standpoint, regardless of what it is.
I'm just saying, that's my opinion. I'm just asking a question.
I'm just saying. Triple B is always going to be the name, on the fact that it also stands for the 3 Ball brothers. I'm not changing that at all.
What's your opinion on that, Jordan?
I don't give a about his opinion.
I just want to hear.
But no, listen to me, son. When I come out with a name and then somebody tell me to change it, that's like me telling me to change your name. That's like people saying, oh, hey, change Lonzo's name to Alfonso on the fact that he's been damaged goods for the last 2 years.
The brand is demolished right now.
The brand is not demolished.
Okay.
That's how you feel the brand is
That's
demolished.
everybody feels.
Who's everybody?
The world.
The world?
consumers.
That's the consumers you talk to?
Yeah. It's all messed up right now.
Why is it messed up? Because one person did something bad?
He was the main person.
He wasn't the main person.
He ran everything.
He didn't run everything.
That's
Who the
my
one
opinion. That's
who
what
the
I
one
think.
signing autographs? Who the one taking the pictures?
You set it all up?
That means you running everything as far
Yes.
as what? Who's the big baller brand?
You got it.
Ain't no Alan Foster gear. It's big baller. Here's the thing. If you have a goddamn tree and a bad apple falls off the tree, you don't chop the goddamn tree down.
He was more than apple, though. He was a branch.
Cut the branch. You don't cut the whole tree down.
The tree did fall down, though.
How did the tree fall down?
Why are we restarting everything?
How did the tree fall down? I created it before Alan even got here. I said the 3 Ball brothers for you guys. I don't care who helped me get this started, but I come in with the vision like, you know what? We're going to have our own right here. That's why I didn't go everybody else's way.
You got it.
Not everybody got it.
You got it, man.
No, first of all, Don't say you got it, man, to me. You're the one got to make it grow. I made you guys superstars for a reason. But if I don't do the things that I'm doing, Zell, you're just another regular old player.
Wow.
Wow,
Robert,
you're just a
what'd you-
regular old player.
Yeah, what did you think about that?
Well, Lonzo, he's got some good points. The brand is busted, man. It's done. What about changing the name? What about him being damaged goods? I think the damaged goods comment was funny because he's saying like, "Oh, Lonzo, you're damaged goods 2 years in the NBA." I mean, come on, man. Like that's being pretty selfish right there. I don't like that comment, but I think it's real. I think you're right. I think there's some actual reality to this reality television, and yeah, I mean, Lonzo's telling him, man, the guy that ran the brand was a total scammer artist, and he took the money. He did. The whole thing's falling apart, and LeVar, he just won't hear it, man. This guy's a total clown. Always has been, always will be, and we're not going to see anything different out of him.
I honestly think whatever your opinion of the brand was before is still the same. Like you either believe in LeVar Ball and Big Baller Brand and you like it, or you just think it's a big joke. Like I don't think the guy scamming them or anything really has anything to do with their brand name or anything like that. Like I don't know anybody who says like, yeah, I used to be a Big Baller Brand fan, but then this guy scammed him out of money and now I'm not gonna be a part of it. I think they needed to reinvent themselves a long time ago, and they should have made Big Baller Brand more of a side thing instead of the main thing. You know what I mean? Like I get he had this vision and everything else, but LeVar showed what I've always believed about him in that video is that it's all about LeVar Ball, and it's all about him trying to make it about him. And I think him saying that he's damaged goods isn't like he's saying you're a trash player. I really think that's him saying you didn't live up to the hype that I pumped you up to be, and now you're making me look bad. That's the way I interpreted it.
That's a pretty
and I
safe
also think
interpretation.
when he said, if it weren't for me, you'd be just a regular old player. I think deep down inside, what he really meant to say was, if you guys don't take off, I'm just an old basketball player. I'm nothing. Like deep down inside, I think he's really admitting, like, I'm nothing without you three kids. And that's a fact that he needs to eventually. That's a pill he eventually needs to swallow and get out the way and let his kids handle their business, and he needs to help them handle their business to help them not help himself.
Yep. And that'll never happen. He's too selfish of a dude. That's the bottom line. He's always out for himself, and he doesn't want to admit that it's the kids that are really the stars of the show, not him. He wants to be the star. He wants to be in the spotlight. He wants to grab every attention-getting moment that he can grab.
And personally, I think he's going to lose his son eventually. Like, I'm not saying this off of just that clip alone, but the older you get and the more of a man you become, the less you want your parents dictating your life. You eventually want that independence and that freedom and that trust to do and say and make your own decisions. And Lonzo's got to get out of the way and let him do that. He's got to let him be his own man eventually. And it seems like even in this, Lonzo eventually just says, all right, man, like, I'm done arguing with you. Like, this is just the way you are, so there's no sense in me talking anymore. And he just gets defeated, and he shuts down. Eventually, that's going to end up being I'm going to shut you out of my life.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, that guy's hard. Has to be hard to be around. You know, LeVar, even if it is your dad or whatnot, I mean, he just, at least the way he's portrayed, which I've got to believe is how he is all the time, he's just arrogant and just hard to deal with. And I don't see these kids putting up with that forever. You know, and they may not completely write him out of their lives, but I'm pretty sure the Sunday afternoon dinners become fewer and farther between because, you know, you just can't only put up with so much.
Yeah, for real.
All
and then
right.
eventually
Well,
the locker room visits stop too.
oh yeah.
Where security says, hey, do you want your dad in here? He's going to say, no, not really.
That's not a good night. Let's get him out of here. Well, Chris America, we do have a short show today, so we got some ball action in first half of the show here. What about that Monday Night Football game last night? Did you get an opportunity to catch any of this? It was quite the entertaining feat by two really just okay football teams.
Yeah, surprising that it was just a okay football team from the Browns. The Jets are a bad team or an okay team. The Browns are supposed to be, when you look at their roster, like they're supposed to go. Maybe they still need time to gel, need still more time to build that chemistry, and they can do that over the year. But I think the biggest storyline is that we went full circle on the terrible injuries with quarterbacks. That seemed to be the theme of the weekend, and it continued, unfortunately, on Monday night for, was it McCown?
No, it was Trevor Siemian.
Trevor Siemian, that's right. I always just assume it's a McCown because that's usually who is the backup to somebody. But yeah, that break to Siemian, I saw the replay, terrible.
Yeah. It looked bad. He walked off, though. That was the crazy part. I'm like, how is he walking with the way that his ankle bent? I mean, I thought it was he. Yeah, I thought
Maybe
that was like
one of those things
air
where it
cast.
looked worse than it was, but
Yeah. Now it could have. So yeah, that was the story. Now the Browns looked okay on offense. They looked okay, and I feel like Baker Mayfield's starting to build that rapport with Odell Beckham. It didn't happen immediately, but this week was a lot better than last week, and I think it's a building block. And the problem is they were going up against the Jets, who their offense couldn't do anything to sustain a drive. So that defense was on the field so much that eventually the Browns offense had to get something going. And if they finally did, they got some momentum. A couple early field goals. It seems like they had trouble converting in the red zone. But that Jets offense, that was the worst offense I've seen in a very long time. And it sucks because they bring in this third-string quarterback, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, Adam Gase is just not doing this guy any favors. Here, let him hand off 6-7 times in a row. By the fifth time, the defense pretty much had it sniffed out. Like, oh, this quarterback's not going to throw the ball. Like, eventually you're going to have your quarterback throw the ball because no matter how good Le'Veon Bell is, the defense knows that you're going to hand the ball off to Le'Veon Bell. That's all you're going to do. And the young quarterback, he didn't stand a chance because the game plan was not really designed for him, and this Jets offense couldn't do anything.
Yeah, the Jets are looking at a downward spiral now. Not that they had very high hopes this season, but I think they were at least hoping to go 7-9, 8-8. Don't you think?
Yeah, and as a fan, you're probably even more optimistic. Like maybe we could squeak out 10 wins. Maybe we can squeak into the playoffs. And
you're hoping Sam Darnold takes that progression forward. The new coach brings in that new offense, and you added Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of positives going into the season, but yeah, this team isn't quite there yet, and the injuries to quarterback is definitely going to hurt them. And I don't know what the answer is going to be. I think they are going to seriously have to look for additional quarterback this week.
Maybe they call in the old Sanchez, bring him back home. The prodigal son returns.
Yeah, that would be terrible. And that's a good idea. I mean, maybe they bring back Tebow. Didn't he play for the Jets for a little while?
That he did.
Maybe
I heard
they bring
baseball
in.
Season's over.
And this one's for you, man, with the golden mic. If you're listening, maybe they bring in Kaepernick. No? Too soon? All right, we'll move on from that. Yeah, they could bring in anybody, and I'm thinking like Adam Gase, him with the Dolphins the last couple years. There's got to be a Matt Moore available out there somewhere, right? Like Matt Moore was one of his guys. What about Ryan Tannehill? He's a backup in Tennessee or something. Maybe they do a trade for Ryan Tannehill, give him his second chance. I don't know what the situation's going to be because it looks like Darnold's going to be out. The announcers were saying 3 to 4 weeks because this mono creates an enlarged spleen, which really could be a dangerous situation for a guy playing football. So they said he might be out up to 4. Yeah. That would not be good. So that's where the Jets are at, and yeah, not a whole lot of highlights to talk about. Like I said, OBJ had a couple good plays. Baker looked all right. Nick Chubb looked all right. I mean, yeah, it wasn't Monday Night Football used to be exciting. This was a terrible Monday Night Football game.
Have you seen the schedule for the next 6 games?
Now, I haven't looked that far ahead. Well, I know next week's Washington, isn't it? So I'm going to enjoy that one. But I know other fans are like, oh, the Redskins, they stink.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up now. Somebody was tweeting about it, how like nightmarish it looked. Here we go. NFL.com Monday
I
Night
think we're
Football
playing
schedule.
Chicago.
Yeah, you guys got Chicago at Redskins. Now I think that should be a decent game.
Except Chicago's offense has stunk this season.
Yeah.
So it could be a decent game, but is that one of those ones that's up in the headlines like a marquee matchup?
Yeah, nobody's looking forward to watching Mitchell Trubisky versus Case Keenum. I can tell you that much. Maybe if you guys started
Exactly.
Dwayne Haskins, if it came out that, Dwayne Haskins is starting, maybe that can add some buzz. But then the week after that, you got Bengals Steelers. Boy, that's a real barn burner there.
Yeah, especially now that Roethlisberger's out, you're like, okay, it's going to be Mason Rudolph against Andy Dalton. That's a headline grabber.
Then you got Browns at 49ers.
Yeah. No, not
This
looking forward
one
to that
might have potential to do good. I can't figure out this Lions team. Somehow they are technically undefeated. So it's Lions at the Packers. Then you have Patriots at Jets. Who decided to play the Browns and the Jets 2 Monday nights within a month of each other?
The Browns had a lot of hype going into the year. I understand that
I
part.
get the
but
Browns, but
Jets,
the Jets?
The Jets? Nah, I can't see the Jets.
But then the even worse decision was adding the Dolphins to the Monday night schedule. At no point in time did the Dolphins during the offseason show you anything that says we belong on Monday Night Football. And that's Dolphins versus Steelers. Like, that's not even a matchup I want to see the Steelers play, even if Ben Roethlisberger is there and they're good.
Yeah. Yeah, these are some tough matchups coming up here on Monday Night Football. The schedule makers did Monday Night Football no favors by scheduling these
Don't
games.
you feel like that's the way it's been for a while?
Yeah, I do think Thursday nights have been historically bad, but yeah, Monday Night Football hasn't been the same Monday Night Football, it seems like, over the last couple years.
I heard a while ago that it was the NFL's punishment to ESPN for always reporting the negative news on them so negatively. And so they're punishing them with it. Here's your
Good.
schedule. This is what you're paying $1 billion for.
Good. I'm glad NFL's fighting the man, even though they
I think
are the man.
the whole year long, and you can refute this on me, the whole year long, maybe Seahawks 49ers is our next big game. But I still got to see how the Seahawks fare. They've been playing really close to some bad teams. 49ers, I still don't know because, they've played the Buccaneers and the Bengals. But the one game that I think is going to be electric for sure, as long as their quarterbacks stay healthy, Monday night, November 25th. I believe that's going to be Thanksgiving week, Loudbeard. Ravens at the Rams. That should be a hell of a game.
Yeah, that one is a one to look forward to. The crazy part, you would think the Chiefs would be on a lot of Monday Night Football games with how electric Patrick Mahomes was last year. You would want them to be on there as much as possible, and we didn't even really mention them.
They get one game this year, and that's November 18th, Chiefs at Chargers.
Which is a great game. It's a matchup, a rival, right? But why do the Browns get 2 games, the Jets get 2 games, and the Chiefs get 1?
The Vikings get 2, the Packers get 2, the Jets get 2, the Browns get 2, the Steelers get 2. I don't even I think the Cowboys are only on once, which is surprising. Yeah,
that is
the Cowboys
surprising.
only have one Monday night game. How do the Vikings get 2 and the Cowboys get 1? That makes no sense. And I'm not hating on the Vikings, but I get the Jets because the Jets are in New York, and the same with the New York Giants. So they're going after that New York media. But the Cowboys are probably the biggest, most popular team next to the Steelers outside of a big city. Although I should take that back. Dallas is a huge city, but they have such a nationwide brand too.
They do. They're the number 1 brand in football.
The
most valuable brand, I should say. Forbes always ranks them number 1 as value. And, you get it. You see all these Cowboys fans everywhere. So you're right. I have no idea why the Cowboys aren't on Monday Night Football more.
So that to me confirms it. The NFL is punishing ESPN.
Oh, absolutely.
Like they make
all right.
it sly by like saying like, no, we gave you 2 New York games. Like we give you a bunch of New York games. So we're not trying to hurt you. But of course, those New York teams are awful, and probably people in New York are just so fed up with that team that they don't even want to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of a New York team, you kind of alluded to this, and I just want to get your thoughts on it in the last few minutes of our show here. We do have a short show today, unfortunately. But the coach for the
It's
New York
vertically
Giants...
challenged, okay?
Yes. The coach for the New York Giants comes out, and he says that he's not going to commit to a starting quarterback for Week 3 yet. So does that mean that we may see Daniel Jones take the reins this early in the season, Week 3? And it kind of also made me think the Redskins are in the same boat. Giants and Redskins, very similar, where they could be okay, but they just haven't been. And they have rookie quarterbacks that they took high in the draft that are sitting behind other quarterbacks that just aren't doing their teams any favors. So do we see Daniel Jones this week? Do we see Dwayne Haskins, or should we? What are your thoughts?
I think once a coach starts talking like that, it starts going from a 0% chance of rain to like 75% chance of rain. Just because he starts mentioning it. Usually they start mentioning it, then they'll go one more week to see if that lights a fire in their starting quarterback's belly. And if it doesn't, then that's when you're going to see Daniel Jones. So I'm going to say, I don't know. I think maybe it's like a 60% chance we see Daniel Jones, but there's still that 40% chance where he says, no, I'm going to roll with Eli, give Eli one more chance. Now, if you do roll with Daniel Jones, do you trade Eli before the trade deadline? If there's a team out there looking for a quarterback, like, say, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's a good question.
If you're the Steelers, do you trade for Eli Manning? I mean, why not, right? You don't want to just have unless you're just like, okay, well, let's tank. Like, you're going to have to tank really hard to beat out those Dolphins. They got this tanking thing on lock.
Yeah, but I would say that I think the Steelers fans are pretty impressed with Mason Rudolph. Maybe you give the young guy a shot. Maybe he's not the answer. Where you look at New Orleans. New Orleans is a team that has weapons, and Teddy Bridgewater was underwhelming, to say the least, when he had to come in and fill in for Drew Brees. So maybe New Orleans, where Eli Manning is from, a city that loves the Mannings, maybe that is the right place for Eli.
Yeah, the problem, though, is when Brees comes back, now you have 2 healthy quarterbacks making like $25 million each.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because Brees is not long-term out, then that would make less sense. Okay. Well,
and I think the Saints have like an easier division to where they can go a few weeks without Brees. I don't think they can go the whole season, but I think they can float by, especially with how bad the Buccaneers are, how bad the Carolina Panthers look. And Atlanta, like, they were up and down. I still don't know what Atlanta's doing. Like, that's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde right there.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's a good point. So we don't know quite what we're going to get from that division. And you're right. The Saints can probably keep it afloat, especially they've got that Taysom Hill guy that's the little utility knife quarterback that he might get a little bit of extra playing time out of it all.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. But if I'm the Giants, I'm looking to move Eli. I really do.
Yeah, and we don't know that. I mean, the way the injuries have been piling up this week, we could have another team emerge.
That'll be looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. It could easily happen.
And I think Eli should want that too. Like, hey, man, you can ride the bench, or we'll send you off. You can get a new start, and you can play, but we're ready to move on to our future.
Yeah, and then there's no going back, right? Once you trade them, of
course,
you're done.
It's like when the 49ers traded Joe Montana to the Chiefs.
Yep. And sometimes that's a better thing because you don't have fans 3 weeks into the project saying, oh, this Daniel Jones guy has just really been disappointing. Put Eli back in there. You don't want that mess. You want it to be the future. You want it to be that next step that you don't ever go back from. All right, well, Chris America, it's already 6:32. Like I said earlier in the show, we have a short show today, but it has been an amazing show. So thank you so much, and
Nailed it.
Go.
Stuck the
Nailed
landing. We out. Sorry for a short show today, but sometimes our real lives take over. Peace.